Welcome to the SportsBros podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scotty D, and your host, the head of creative Eddie Cool. The SportsBros podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the SportsBros.
We talking sports.
You know, after they say you got 10 days to wish somebody Happy New Year's, after that 10th day, you get all that mess out your system. With that being said, the day this episode is airing is January the 7th, so Happy New Year and welcome to another action-packed edition of the SportsBros podcast, the first episode of 2025. I'm back, y'all. I'm tired as hell. I'm back, y'all. But I go by the name of Eddie Cool, a.k.a. the HOC up in this thing. Long holiday season. I'm still tired from it. I probably won't fully recover from the holiday season until about January because I'm being pulled in every which way, every which direction. But all's fair, all's fine, good and dandy. With that being said, I got two of the best coaches in the world. Introducing first, live from Fayetteville, North Carolina, where he can still see the ground, unlike myself and Scotty D, because we see a bunch of this powder stuff in the backyard. The almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world? Today is 2025. And you know what? I am appreciative of the fact that I am one of the best co-hosts in the world because hosting this is a whole nother beast. I tried it. My computer said, and just in the lost ether of things that just never quite actually happened. I apologize for wasting the money man's time. It was fun. We had a lot to talk about, but yeah, it's above us now. But we're talking about playoffs. Playoffs. Oh man, there's so much to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it with my bros. Glad to be back. It has been quite the hiatus, but let's get it. Let's go. Go ahead and introduce the other guy, the trifecta, as you will, the other co-hosts and all those things. And let them serenade us coming into 2025.
I'm going to see if I can find that lost episode, and that might be some bonus content for everybody to ingest, if you will. And the other guy, he is the pride of a very snowy, cold, Jesus take the wheel moment. Washington, Pennsylvania. He is the one, the only, the money man, Scotty D.
SCOTTGO, Money and the Sports Bro Show. Hey, Happy New Year, bros. That's a little bit better. That's nice. It's a nice warm way to greet you, my brothers, as we come into the year. As we coming into 2025. By the way, B-Live, you said it's 2025. I don't know if you're talking about the calendar or the thermometer, because that's what it's like here in Washpa right now. 25 degrees is the high. Snow all over the place. Yeah, that part sucks. The Christmas lights are down. That sucks. You know, but it is what it is. What the positive thing is, we are now finally past that bonus extra unnecessary week of NFL football and into the playoffs. It is playoff time, and we have a lot to talk about. It's actually, as we're recording this, is Black Monday, and I think only two heads have rolled so far today as far as the head coaches go. I know a couple maybe assistants and GMs have been dismissed as well, but some job openings on the horizon for sure here in the NFL. But hey, fellas, top of the order, let's talk NFL playoffs and college play. We have all kind of playoffs to talk about. Eddie Cool, start this thing off.
I'm just going to shut the hell up. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. The top of the order.
All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order.
Well, fellas, it just seems like September was just a few weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's the end of the damn regular season, and we're going into the postseason. 2025, 2024, 2025 NFL playoffs are set. Now, looking at some of these matchups, fellas, the question I pose to you is, Out of these matchups, which one do you find the most intriguing?
I don't want to do that yet.
You don't
No.
want to do that yet? Oh, you know what?
I want
Okay,
to. Yeah, I want to revisit some things because
okay, okay.
All right,
So,
let's look back and then look ahead.
yeah, so okay, so let's look back and look at okay. So earlier, before the season started, we made some picks.
oh boy,
Oh boy, I'm gonna say some teams made us look silly, make us look real stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, Scotty D, go ahead and bust out those picks and let's see if we got it right and got it wrong.
Okay, let me do this first because this has actually not been announced and been decided, but I think we're all going to be wrong on this, and that is the MVP. So, B-Live, you picked Jared Goff, who had a good season.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Cool and I both picked Patrick Mahomes. I actually had Josh Allen written down. I scratched him out and went with Mahomes instead. So, I guess my number 2 choice has a shot, but two for Mahomes, 1 for Jared Goff, and it looks like our favorite's going to be either Josh Allen or Saquon Barkley at this point. That looks like the 2 leading candidates. Also, for Rookie of the Year, B-Live, you picked Jaden Daniels. He's the front runner right now. It looks like he probably will win. I picked Bo Nix, who I still think should be considered. And Eddie Cool, you picked Marvin Harrison, who I guess he had an okay year. I didn't hear much about him as far good or bad. So still, I guess he didn't have great quarterback play. That's what I always say in Arizona.
He scored 8 touchdowns. I think it's a team rookie record.
Okay, so he had a good year, but
Yeah,
not Rookie of the Year type year. All right, now here was our
not a Malik Neighbors type of year. But go ahead.
no, and that guy killed me in my fantasy football championship. That guy. So I'll never forget that dude. So here's who we all picked for the AFC East. All 3 of us went with the Dolphins. That was incorrect. We all jumped off the Bills bandwagon, and they had the best regular season they've had in the last couple of years. We all, let's see, for the NFC North, B-Live chose the Ravens. Eddie Cool chose the Ravens. I chose the Bengals. Which, well, I mean, bad start, great finish. They're the hottest team in the NFL right now. Get some nothing because again, they don't play well in September ever.
3, 2, 1, Cancun.
Yeah. We all 3 chose the Chiefs to win the West. They are the number 1 seed. And here's my what was I thinking moment. This one, I'm not proud to admit this. Both of you chose the Texans to win the AFC South. I predicted that the Texans would have a setback year, that they were going to fall back a little bit this year, regress, and I went with Jacksonville, who fired their head coach today, probably 14 weeks too late. So I don't know what I was thinking with that one. I thought that Jacksonville finished terribly last year. They were going to snap it back. They were going to rebound. Trevor Lawrence was going to take the next step. Instead, he regressed. He was terrible. He was injured. And Peterson was lucky to come back from Europe with a job because they went over there and got blown out by the Bears, who didn't win for 10 consecutive games. Oof. All right, so in the NFC East, all 3 of us took the Eagles. That was a winner. All 3 of us took the Lions to win the North. That was a winner. In the West, I was the only one that wavered on this. We all had the Rams at the last second. I crossed out the Rams and went with the 49ers. Oof. The Rams ended up winning that division. And in the South, all of us took the Falcons, which came down to the last week of the season, and the Buccaneers won that. Now, yes. None of those are too terrible, but here's where we get into our wild card picks. I took the Ravens, who made the playoffs, the Packers, who made the playoffs, and the Cowboys, who did not in the NFC.
What did you pick for the?
I'm sorry, the Rams, not the Rams. The Rams.
Okay.
I did have the Rams in the playoffs. That's not one in the division. I had the Packers and the Cowboys. Eddie Cool, you had the 49ers in the playoffs. You had the Packers, and you had the Bucks. And B-Live, you had the Cowboys. You had the Packers. And what were you thinking when you chose the Bears? The Bears.
I mean, on paper, B-Live, I get it.
I don't get nothing. I went against what I should. I knew that Caleb Williams was trash, and he ended up being trash. Well, he wasn't. But let me say this: he wasn't trash. It was just they didn't know what they were doing. They had a lot of talent, but it just seemed like coaching wise, Matt Eberflus was terrible.
Yeah, he was terrible.
terrible. That's why he ain't got no job.
He got gone after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What did he say? 15. What? A yard doesn't matter, or something like that, or
He said something stupid enough to get himself tossed out of the job, is what he said.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he said a lot of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And then I will never put my faith at all ever in the Dallas Cowboys ever again. Ever. I won't do it. I tried. I was like, this team is talented. They got pieces that, like, I doubted their run game. But I was like,
yeah,
they're powerful enough with the passing game. They will overcome this.
Yeah, I was the same. I had them in a wild card. I think Eddie was the only one that didn't put the Cowboys in the postseason.
Hey, got that one right.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
y'all
good for you on that.
I believe both of y'all believed in the 49ers though.
I did, and that team was severely injury riddled this year. They got decimated by injuries, as did the Lions. Lions able to overcome and still hold on to be that number one seed. But yeah, it was a tough season from the jump with the 49ers. They had Brandon Ayuk holding out, then they get him back, then he's hurt, and Debo was hurt, McCaffrey was hurt. I mean, it went on and on with the.
I was hurt. B-Live was hurt.
The Lions all bitten by the injury, bug.
Yeah, on IR.
But the Lions get that week of rest. They get that break, and they get, man. Did y'all expect that game to be that lopsided, though?
I did not.
First of all, okay. I don't know how many times I have to say this on this program. I want, like, you know how Stephen A. says, I want the camera right here on me. I'm not asking for that, but analytics can go to hell.
He said that.
How many points did the Vikings leave on the shelf? It changes the entire dynamic of the game if it's 18-15 or 17-9. If you take your points, because I'm gonna tell you, it would have been 18-15 because Dan Campbell would have went for 2.
Yeah.
So instead of 17, it would have been 18. I'm just telling you that's exactly what would have happened. But Minnesota was on the 2-yard line, the 1-yard line, and analytics said, go for it. And they got stuffed twice. And then they missed a field goal. It should have been 18-18 as opposed to 17-9. Then it was 24-9. Then it was 31-9. Those matter. It changes.
And you know who Sam Darnold reminded me of on Sunday night?
Who?
He reminded of Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Yes, he reminded me of Sam Darnold.
Seeing Ghost.
I swear to.
Yeah,
that's the same.
He had a great year. he looked more Darnold like than ever on Sunday night. All right, so in the AFC, here was the wild cards. I'm the only one that actually had the Chargers in to go with the Ravens and Bills. So I at least had all three of those somewhere into the postseason. Eddie Cool, you had the Bills, you had the Bengals, again just missed, and you had the Browns. So there's your what were you thinking by choosing that? And don't laugh too hard, be live, because you had them too.
I didn't see what happened though.
I can tell
Eddie
you what
Cool,
I was thinking.
you care to explain, Eddie Cool?
I can tell you what I was thinking. I said, okay, they got Jerry Jeudy, they got healthy Njoku, Nick Chubb gonna come back healthy at some point of the season. Everybody was there healthy. But
having the number one defense, I just thought that.
Yeah, and then ride momentum off last year, they had the number one defense, with Newsome and Denzel Ward, all-world Myles Garrett, who was as good as gone. I'm like, okay, they're gonna be able to make some noise. Well, they made some noise at the bottom of the damn division, and
it was a miserable year for them.
It was bad. Deshaun Watson had one good half of football, his best half in his 4 years here in Cleveland. And then, we got Jameis Winston doing what he did. Now I see why Brown, I'll be telling Brown, hey guys, y'all got to have some faith. Coming from a Panthers fan, we don't have losing seasons as bad as the Browns, because within the last 20 years we've been to 2+ Super Bowls. But yet still it's kind of like, hey, you guys, hey, keep your chin up. It can't be that bad. I'm like, hey, look, at least you're not the Jets. You might as well be the Jets at this point in time.
Well,
Yeah.
the news broke out today. I do believe though that maybe would bring some Browns fans some reprieve, some hope. And this is a bad way to give Browns some hope, but Deshaun Watson has setbacks in his rehab, and they expect him to miss the entirety of the 2025 season.
Wow. What? I don't even remember what his injury is.
I don't know either. I just saw the bottom line, and I'm like, oh, ooh,
Has
oh.
anybody done less with a big contract than that guy? This has been the most disastrous contract in the history of sports. I gotta say, they guaranteed this guy all this money. He's played like 4 games, all terribly. He's still got masseuses coming out of woodwork at him.
Yeah.
It's just been a disaster. I
I'm,
mean,
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this publicly. As a Clemson Tiger fan, there was a short moment of time when I used to brag about the fact that he at least got the bag. I can't even brag about that anymore. This has been, I'm like, I can't even really associate him with the Clemson Tigers again. I appreciate you for what you did in 2016. You got me a natty, but
yeah.
man, who has not been.
It's been bad for him ever since, and to make things even worse for Cleveland is Baker Mayfield's actually turning in a nice little career down there with Tampa Bay. He's actually thriving. They've helped build around him. All right, and B Live, we'll just finish this topic. And you had the Bills, the Bengals, and the Browns. So you didn't fill out the wild cards too much, but you did go with your other picks as far as like divisions and all that goes. This isn't something we picked before, but hey, let's throw it out there. Who's our coach of the year?
But before you go there with Coach of the Year, I want to make sure it's perfectly understood with the what were we thinking moments. All three of us, by the way, because I know all three of us.
Here we go.
Picked the Steelers to be dead last, and
I think we
also
did. None of us have them in the playoffs,
and all three of us picked the Minnesota Vikings to be dead last. So I just want to point that out. If we revealing, if this is the Sports Bros confessional, we need to point that out.
and all three of us actually picked the Chiefs and Lions as our Super Bowl picks as well. All three of us had that. And I had the Chiefs winning it all. I think B-Love, you chose the Lions,
and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, and I think I don't have Eddie. I think Eddie also picked the Chiefs. Actually, I didn't circle his, but I think he also picked the Chiefs.
He did.
I you know what? Looking at Chiefs play this season, I think eventually gonna run out of gas.
I think there's a team in the AFC we got to look out for in a big way, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But who we got for Coach of the Year here?
Brian Daboll. No, I'm joking.
Is it? Well, he's coming back amazingly.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who doesn't think it's O'Connell of the Vikings? Because that's who I got to go with.
I see. Before the Steelers decided just to fall off the face of the earth, they're still in the playoffs. I'd have put Tomlin as the coach.
Tomlin was in it. He was in the running and then Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you said was it Mitch O'Connell? What was his name? I'm sorry.
No,
Jerry.
No, Kevin O'Connell.
I know he. But yeah, the Vikings. What the world? Like I
think Jerry O'Connell was in Stand By Me, if I'm not mistaken.
He was.
The coach for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Skull Nation. Yes. What he has done this year, facing all the odds that were against him. J.J. McCarthy out for the season, off rip.
Yeah.
And revitalize. Do they have a quarterback controversy?
Well, they got to pay that dude or let him go to the Steelers. Or I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I kind of think you have to bring him back because the team played so well with him in place. But what if he goes out and lays an egg in the playoffs? Then are you willing to concede maybe this wasn't the real deal that we had this year? Do we move on?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, a lot to be determined here. But I think O'Connell is the coach of the year, with apologies to Sean McVay and Jim Harbaugh, who I think also had pretty nice years.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell turned things around with Washington.
Oh, shit. I mean, with
I
Detroit.
mean, not Dan Campbell.
I mean, Dan Quinn. Dan
Dan
Quinn.
Quinn,
Dan Quinn
Dan
with
Quinn,
Washington, but you still also got to put Dan Campbell with Detroit for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think his was more warranted last year whenever they turned the corner because they kind of went into the season as a favorite. So they lived up to that. They did, credit due there. This time next year, we might be talking Rex Ryan as the Coach of the Year.
The interviews are out there.
Yeah, they're out there.
Do the Jets actually really want to win? They interviewed Ron Rivera and Rex Ryan. Do they care anymore? Do they even care in New York?
They are in desperation mode. They don't
Oh
even
my
know what.
goodness!
I've never seen a franchise so desperate.
Did you guys happen to see Get Up this morning?
I did not.
No.
I don't know if Rex Ryan might be tipping his cap, but he wore a very specific color blazer this morning. I don't find
green.
Yes, I don't find it coincidental. I'm like, okay.
I saw reports that he's already said that if he goes to the Jets, that whole
the country club is
good. I said, let's go. Like I want to see that just for HBO Hard Knocks. Bring it back to the Jets if Rex Ryan is hired because that is must see TV. I'm here for it.
That's well and good, but the first time the guy was there, he finished 4 years or 5 years under 500.
I know that.
That was 10 years ago.
He did go to the AFC Championship game. How many times?
Oh, so did Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl. Let me call him his name after that. I mean, come on.
Oh man,
that is true though. All right, fellas. Real quick, before we take our first break, let's go ahead and talk about some of the now we went backward. Now we're looking forward. Most intriguing playoff matchups. So we got some. All right, so here we go. We got the wild card games. We got the Chargers at the Texans, Steelers at the Ravens, Broncos at the Bills. All this will be played on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Scotty D, what say you? Most intriguing matchup.
Well, they're all good. Ravens Steelers is divisional matchup. Eagles and Packers. I feel like the Packers are better than the 7th seed. Mm-hmm. Rams and Vikings is intriguing to me because the Rams didn't even really try to win their last game, which would have made them avoid this matchup. They could have moved up if they would have won, but they didn't care. They said, we're going to try to, we bring on the Vikings. If we got to bring on the Vikings or Lions, whoever wins that, we'll take them on. And I'm intrigued by that one because I do think that the Rams have a legit shot of coming through that bracket. They might be the one team that could beat the Lions if they win this game, and I think they're winning this game. I'm taking the Rams to beat the Vikings, but the game that I have the less conviction on, the one that intrigues me the most, is the Buccaneers and the Commanders. Mm-hmm. And to me, that might be the most boring game to watch. I'm not excited about that game compared to the others, but I just think that that's when I can't. Who are we going to see? I mean, I know Jaden Daniels has been electric at times this year, but he's a rookie. Mm. He's never been through this before, and he's going on the road. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they start the season against the Buccaneers on the road and lose that opening day game? I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Buccaneers already have beaten them once. Mm-hmm. The Buccaneers are an erratic team too. At times they look terrible. They laid an egg against the Cowboys on a Sunday night game just a few weeks ago. So I don't know. I don't know how to handle this one. I kind of feel like the Buccaneers are the more experienced team, and I kind of like them. But, you've seen that upstart, exciting quarterback before that has nothing to lose. A guy named Michael Vick went into Lambeau and won a playoff game several years ago when nobody was winning in Lambeau. So, Jaden Daniels is a special kind of player. That one intrigues me the most. How about you, B-Live?
Scotty D, me and you are on the same page, except for one very simple thing. One simple thing. Boring is not the word I would use when it comes to the Commanders versus the Buccaneers.
I hope you're right.
That is going to be all gas, no brakes. I feel like it's going to be
I would love it.
48, 45.
Oh, my, come on.
Have you not seen it? Tampa Bay is putting the 40 bucket on a lot of teams this year.
Yeah.
And Washington definitely ain't no slouch. Are either one of those teams really, really versed in defense?
No.
Not really. All gas, no brakes. Give me the Commanders versus the Buccaneers.
Okay.
This is huge for both franchises. Baker Mayfield has been essentially given the keys to the kingdom. The Buccaneers are wondering since Tom Brady left, are they going to return back? They got the weapons. How many more years do you have of Mike Evans? 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. First ballot Hall of Famer. Jaden Daniels on the other side. He is the upstart rookie doing big things. The Commanders are here. And let me tell you this, the Redskins no-name football team commander Piglets, Joey Buckets is electric right now. I have not seen this many Commander Redskins fans come out of woodworks in a very long time. All gas, no brakes. This is the most intriguing matchup. Vikings Rams, that is a surprise. I agree with you. I think the Rams do shock the world and beat the Vikings. I think the Eagles are going to completely dismantle the Packers. The Packers just found out that they're number one or number. I don't know who their number one receiver is, but Christian Watson is done so.
Yep.
Okay. That's a factor. Then yeah, I could.
And I think Jordan Love got hurt during the game. I don't know how this is, but yeah. I think he's going to bounce back. But I just think that's too much to overcome with the Eagles.
I think so too. I agree. I like the Eagles in that game probably convincingly. They pretty much had a bye week this past week, and they were a little bit banged up and needed that week. So yeah, I agree with you.
The AFC side, there's not going to be any Cinderella. This is going to be the Bills, the Chargers, and the Ravens. The Steelers are just going in the wrong direction. The Texans have been going in the wrong direction, and the Broncos, you're going to Buffalo, my dude. Oof. It's going to be brutal
with a rookie quarterback. I think the Bills blow them out. Actually,
it's not even going to be. They ain't going to be nothing intriguing by the AFC side.
It's too bad that the Bengals couldn't have gotten past the Patriots in Week 1. They'd be in that game, and that would be a much better game. I think it'd be great theater to watch Josh Allen and Joe Burrow slinging around the yard.
That would be insanity,
wouldn't it? I mean, if you could only have figured out a way to get past New England in Week 1, and you start off 1-3 or 1-4 again as Bengals. I don't know.
I'm still, in the words of my mom, I'm still bumfuzzled by that because you start off September slow, you start off October slow, November you get together, you don't lose a game in December, and you kick ass in damn January, and now I don't know what is going on in Cincinnati, but they need
defense and they need offensive linemen. 2 weeks ago, Burrow got sacked 7 times in that overtime game. I mean, at this point, you should be investing all of your resources in building the wall around that guy. Build the wall.
Yep. And then on top of that, you have to and now the Bengals are stuck with another conundrum. Do you pay Jamar Chase, the crippled crown champion, or do you pay T. Higgins? Which one is it? So
I think Higgins is gone.
No,
Higgins says he will take lower money.
But how much? How much of his agent going to put in his ear later on? They all say that during the regular season.
Well, and I look at what's another situation? Myles Garrett, his ass is good as gone too. I mean, it's just because with Cincinnati, man, I don't know. They need an offensive line, defensive line, a wall, a fortress, or a moat with some gators and swords and some swords. And they need that too.
I think Myles Garrett is with Cleveland. That's cool.
I know, but I thought that I was thinking with people hauling ass like, yeah, Myles Garrett, his ass is gone too. But with that being said, we done talked a lot about football. And due to time constraints, we got to take us a commercial break. Coming up next.
Word from our sponsors?
That would always sound good.
That would sound good too. Coming up next, after the break, the college football playoff, Final Four. Stick stay. Don't you dare go away. Coming right back at you right here on your favorite sports podcast, none other than the SportsBros podcast. It'd be nice to see Myles Garrett in Carolina, but that ain't happening. We ain't got that kind of cap room for him.
We actually have cap room, but we're not trying to pay.
No, you know we gave everything to the Bears. And yeah, the hell with the Bears. We'll be back, y'all. Bye. I'm sorry about that.
In the meantime, in between time, check us out on another platform because we got sports here, sports there, and all that whatnot. But on Wednesday, we just break it down a little bit and we talk about mental health. And we ask everyone to let's check in with the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast.
Feel free to join us. For more information, just check out our Wellness Check Wednesday page on Facebook. Click the link, and of course, let's check in.
Check in. See you on Wednesday.
Back at you here on the SportsBros podcast. So let's go ahead and slide into the other set of playoffs, if you will. The college football playoffs have been action-packed, a whole lot going on. We'll get thoughts and opinions about the playoffs in totality later on in the show. But right now, let's talk about the Final Four, if you would. We have Ohio State versus Texas. On the other side of the bracket, we have Notre Dame versus Penn State. Fellas, who you got and why? First of all, before I go any further, because me and B Live, we had a chance to watch this game live, and Scotty, I'm pretty sure you saw it too. Where was this Ohio State team versus Michigan?
Yeah, right.
Who are you asking?
Anybody want to tell me? I'm looking like where what happened?
You know what? Rivalry games are different. There's a whole different thought process when it goes into it. Like a lot of teams literally, of course, they circle it on the calendar. There's completely different game strategy when it comes to rivalry games. You'll see trick plays that you've never seen before. Like I feel like there's more on the line from the fan standpoint than, even though these playoffs have such a huge implication, it's one of the things where I'm also throw this out there. If Ohio State would have won the game, then they would have went to the conference. I don't know. Michigan may have just been really, really inspired playing with house money. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who actually knows? But people have been saying this about Ohio State all year, and now they're bringing in the money factor into it of how much money they spent on the players that they have on the roster and blah, 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 blah. And this is the Ohio State that we've been waiting to see and extra da-da-da. And there was a reason why Ohio State was favored to win over Oregon. So, I don't know. We here now?
Yep. Now Ohio State got to play an SEC
Yeah,
school in Texas. Go ahead, Scotty D.
This Final Four looks like a busted bracket. 5 versus 8, 6 versus 7. It looks like how my brackets look in March Madness when I picked the wrong teams. You get these teams, and really the seedings were a little janky this year. I mean, we kind of knew that Penn State was going to have an easy road having to go through Boise State and SMU. All they had to do was just play good football to get by those teams. Just the seedings were a little bit. And speaking of seedings, Georgia was number 2, correct?
Correct.
And they went into that game with a backup quarterback. So why was it that they were in the top 4 when a year ago Florida State with their backup quarterback was not in the top 4? How's that different? Why is one different than the other? I mean, I don't know. Just throwing that out there, not to stir up the old Seminole nest from a year ago because they went out and completely packed it in this past year. But I don't know. I didn't feel like Georgia was a number 2 team. But
well,
yeah.
That is a very valid argument, but no, I got nothing because it was a horrible decision last year. Regardless to what Florida State did this year, regardless to what Florida State did against Georgia, that was a horrible decision to make. Just because somebody got hurt, they're not that good anymore? What? And what other sport they do that? They might do that in figure skating.
Yeah.
Like that's like what the hell? I don't know. That's a very valid argument. And when you talk about seedings and rankings, right now, Texas is ranked number 3, Penn State's ranked number 4, Notre Dame's ranked number 5, Ohio State's ranked number 6. So they are like you just take number 1 and number 2 out of there. There's your next 4 teams, and sort of where that. We're gonna get into that just a little bit, but right now, the games that are ahead of us right now: Notre Dame versus Penn State. This is the ultimate game for both coaches. That who will win the big game? I know there's a whole nother championship to come up, but this is the semifinal matchup. This is the bowl game that is named who will win the big game first. Because both Franklin and Marcus, what the boy, Freeman, both of them are notorious right now for not being able to win the big game. This is it. Right here, right now. Who has it in them more to win the big game?
I like Notre Dame.
I like Notre Dame.
I think their defense is better.
Notre Dame, okay. I can respect that.
And then you got Ohio State versus Texas. I feel like this game is the what's the saying? The immovable object, unstoppable,
irresistible force versus irresistible force versus the immovable object.
That part right there. I felt you. I felt you on
challenge.
That. Well, the thing about this is I couldn't remember it, and so my brain is bad. His tongue is bad. It's just, but man, who's gonna slow down the other team?
I think the Buckeyes are superior at this point, and I think they're going to win. And I think they're going to win convincingly. And I'm going to root against them, but I think that they're going to win convincingly.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to say this amongst all of Eddie Cool's regional situational, all the people there in Ohio,
and the handful that go to that Buffalo Wild Wings normally reach the
I wasn't going to mention that at all. I'm going to say this. I agree with Scotty D. Like, I just think Ohio State is just, they're clicking on all cylinders. You know how they say momentum is everything? Mm-hmm. They're hot at the right time. Ohio State is that team. Now, again, Texas is no slouch. There is a reason why these four teams are where they're at right now. But yeah, I have Ohio State versus Notre Dame. But now here's the thing. I'm picking Notre Dame to win it all. I think if there is a team to slow down Ohio State right now, I think it's Notre Dame, because exactly what Scotty D said. Notre Dame plays that defense. They play it pretty well. Texas has a decent defense. I just feel like they're going to come up. They folded against Georgia, and I think they're going to fold against Ohio State. But I think Ohio State is going to make it a game. But I just think this is it. I think Notre Dame is finally going to convince the world that they should be talked about. And I hope
so. I hope somebody, because actually, as much as I hate to say it, I think Ohio State right now looks as good as a college football team has looked this year. I don't think this year there was any one team, even though Oregon was undefeated coming into this, I didn't think there was one team that looked like the Alabama Clemson teams that faced off in the championship a few years ago. Like where you just had two really great teams heading for a clash. I just didn't feel like we had that with any team this year. Like there was no one team that I thought like Georgia was a couple years ago, where you're just like, man, that team is going to take somebody special to stop that team, and then nobody did. This year, I don't think any team was like that. And right now, Ohio State to me looks the closest to that as any team I've seen in college football all year long. And like I said, it took them a while to get here. They lost twice, right? They lost 2 games. They lose to Michigan and Oregon earlier in a close one. But I think right now they look like the best team in college football.
Texas got to stop Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
Because he's only 19, fellas. He's only 19.
All I got to say is this, and this is coming from deep down in my heart. Ohio State also needs to find a way to stop the run.
Yes.
Because they did not do well against Michigan, and I guarantee you Texas is going to feed the rock. They will run the ball down your throat. So I'm thinking it's not a foregone conclusion. But I'll tell you right now, I am so excited for these games that are going to be played on Thursday and Friday. This schedule.
Well, that's because the NFL owns the weekend. They can't go against the NFL.
Yeah. I guarantee you, somewhere in this mix of things, I'm going to forget, especially that Friday game, I'm going to forget. Like, oh, shoot, we got a college, what?
Well, I mean, maybe knock back the adult beverage consumption just by a few degrees, and you'll remember that there's
not a few degrees,
just a few degrees less Just
I am
turn the
I,
dial back a little bit on
I
the
am
adult
highly
beverages.
I am highly disappointed. I've been doing very well these past 2 to 3 weeks, especially because this medication is not being friendly to
I
me.
smell eggnog through the screen.
Oh dear Lord.
Is that eggnog or bad gas? Which one is it? Eggnog or bubble guts? If you're drinking eggnog this one of January, ooh, that's bad. That's
I,
exactly
I,
bad
I
for
need some
business.
horchata. That's what I need. Some horchata. Somebody got to have a bottle left for me. Okay, cool. All right, we didn't fell way off the wagon,
Do I?
Way off.
I was about to
and
say it. I'm about to put the train back on the track. So, Scotty D, you have 1 point. You have Notre Dame winning. You say
This one, I think Ohio State's going to beat Notre Dame in the championship game. That's
and
what I'm
B
afraid of.
and B Live. What say you?
Notre Dame winning it all. I have Notre Dame versus Ohio State in the championship, and I have Notre Dame winning it all.
Okay.
And Eddie, you're in Ohio, so you kind of have to pick them, I guess, huh?
You
No, I
do
don't.
not. You
No, I
do
don't.
not.
No, I don't. I'm a smart man. I think no. This is Notre Dame's time to go ahead and lock it on up.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's their time.
nobody's picking Texas. Nobody's picking Penn State. Ooh,
No.
boy.
No.
But if I could get a Texas Penn State championship game, I'd be thrilled with that.
I wouldn't be. I would not be mad at that at
I
all.
would
Yeah.
love that.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, just because I don't SEC, I'm done with them. And somebody said it. Somebody said this that the SEC is not as dominant now as it used to be because now it's an even playing field and everybody can get paid as opposed to how things were back in the day.
That's why Nick
Right.
Saban left because he couldn't buy nobody no more. It's like, you know what? It's not fair. So now it's not. Anyways, with that being said, that wraps up the college football playoff Final Four preview and prediction. Looking at my phone because I have yet to fix my watch. Guess what time it is?
What's happening? What's going on?
Oh,
2025.
duck it, quack, quack. I'm glad you asked. It's time once again for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. With that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Choice of the voices coming at you right here on the Sports Bros podcast.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
For the first time in 2025. Once again, thank you to the wonderful and
Ever so lovely, Miss Button.
for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. When we ask you the question, you give us the answers, and we talk about it right here on the Sports Bros podcast. We asked you a question about a month ago, and we finally decided to get around to it. It involves the college football playoffs. With that being said, Scotty D, what is the topic?
That's a good question. I think it was something along the lines of which playoff form or college football format did you like the best? Did you like the this year's format? Did you like last year's 14 playoff format? Did you like the old school BCS? Or did you like the 80s, 70s, 80s, where everybody played in bowl games and then they decided the champion based on the voting? What did the people tell us here? I think me and B-Live may have, I feel like this is deja vu, but let's do it all over again.
I didn't do it. It's my turn. All right, Trey Dizzle said the playoffs are always better. The favorite teams will usually win round one, but even if some games are blowouts, it still removes 99% of the doubt of who earned it.
Okay. Good point.
Very simple.
Yep.
And he said Dak sucks. Okay.
I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it. All right, TB, Tony Bogan, what's going on, man? He said, I will go with the BCS method, and Tony wants to fight. As controversial as it was, if we had to have a playoff, the best way is a 16 playoff with the top two teams getting byes. 3 through 6 and 4 through 5 would essentially be quarterfinal games. 12 is too many in his opinion.
I would have been okay with that too.
Now, and the question is, well, he would go with the BCS method, which would be Oregon versus
which I
Georgia.
hated. Yeah, I hated that.
So that is, and remember, this question was asked a few weeks prior before the quarterfinals happened. So that definitely threw a wrench into the plans. But also, if it's a 16 playoff, are we doing? So 16 playoff, I guess, would be similar to the 14 playoff. it wouldn't be automatic conference championship situations.
No, I think by what Tony was saying was you'd use the computers to sort that out. The BCS was a computer system that put together the 1 and 2 teams. I think that's what he was alluding to. Is like
so
the computers would decide 1 through 6,
and so that would put Oregon and Georgia would get first round buys. It'd be Texas versus Ohio State, Penn State versus Notre Dame. Exactly what we have right now.
I mean, that's something.
Except for the buys.
Yeah.
It just worked the other way. So hey, he might be on to something.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. Our Hall of Fame Uncle Max says, I think an 8-team playoff would be enough. He said 8, not 9, 10, 11, 12, just 8. Ocho teams. 8 teams would be enough. All right.
Again, I would have been okay with that too.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Now with 8 teams, where does conference champions fall with that? Yay, nay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because then now you're including Tennessee and Indiana in the rankings, but I think Arizona State showed that, hey, we got a seat at the table. We're going to show out a little bit. And it was very close.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
What's the old boy named Scatterbo?
Scuttlebutt, I think that's his name.
Wow.
Scatbo?
Stinky Boo. Stinky Boo.
Scatterbo, and the fact Scuttlebutt took me back 24 years. That's an old Navy term. Scuttlebutt. Wow.
What a tremendous kid, man. Somebody's going to get a good kid in him, man.
Oh, and the thing about it is his draft stock went way up. Oh my God. Like, how many people didn't even know about the guy, and he was 5th in the Heisman ranking, and I didn't even know he existed until, like, the Heisman came out, and I saw the vote list. And one of my friends is an Arizona State fan. He's like, man, you need to watch out for Cam Scott. A scat of who? A scat of what?
What?
And then then he comes out and does everything like Christian McCaffrey 2.0.
Yeah.
The same.
Didn't he throw the ball at one point?
Yes, he did.
Boy, he said he'd Taysom Hill. Watch out. Which ain't bad. I mean, it got him a job. All right, Joel Turner, he says.
He's responding to Uncle Max.
Yep, he agrees with Uncle Max. He said, amen, considering not a single lower seed team won the first round games. I mean, come on. You think SMU stood a chance against Penn State?
Well, again, that was the whole purpose of a 12-team playoff was give these other teams a chance.
Yep, and gave a chance, and thank you for playing.
Right.
Joey Jacobs, he says, without having a competitive schedule across the board during the regular season, it's hard to say which system would work. Only team Indiana played with a winning record was Ohio State during the regular season.
That's been my argument the entire season is that because these super conferences having 16, 17, and 18 teams, you could have 2 teams within the same conference have a completely different schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And then all you're looking at is wins and losses. Indiana going 8-1 in the Big Ten is not the same as Penn State going 8-1. This is, but how do you?
Not having the common opponents, it's harder to judge that.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now, and that's how do you correct that?
I think you have to start doing away with college football programs.
You just want to start sink
them.
You just want to have 64 teams as opposed to the 120.
No, don't be ridiculous. I want way less than that.
Wow,
that's like 40 teams. That's all you need.
That's crazy to me.
Well, the NFL has 32, so you still have more.
Like, dude, well,
turn everything else into intramural flag football and
give me.
And then you really pay the kids that are on the 40 teams. That's what you do.
Give me the relegation process that they have in English Premier and all professional soccer. If you're,
I don't understand this soccer that you speak of. I don't
tell them what it is. Be like, if you're bad, you get kicked out of the league.
Yeah, if you're bad, you drop down to the lower leagues, and there's a tier. It's basically a tiered system.
I don't understand what this sport is you're talking about. I've never heard of it.
Okay, moving on. I ain't got time for him to be. I mean, it's not only the most popular sport in the world.
Tom Wynn says
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Tom Wynn says, I am a change-hating traditionalist, but I like this playoff. If the greedy little bastards will stop at 8, 20 years from now, it'll be like the NC, it'll be like the basketball tournament. It'll be like the basketball bracket.
Like I said, it already looks like that right now.
Could they do 64 teams?
If you start in June.
You start in June. Oh man. 64 good teams. Well, we know, let me see. Well, we know 25 off the head. And then everything else is just, yeah, we'll be looking at University of Texas, San Antonio, was it Georgia State, FIU, PUIU, all them. But anyways, shout out to everybody for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Scotty D, BCS, traditional style. They play the bowl games, then somebody pick a number.
Yeah.
The playoffs. Which one is it? Which one you like?
Well, let me say, I think Matty Ice also says he wants to plant his flag with UNC. He says B-Lab knows his position, which I think is, I don't really know what that means, but
His position is ridiculous. That's what it is. He wants to have the 16 to 32 teams.
Oh, okay. He wants to
he wants like, and here's the thing. I'm not gonna trash what he says about, like, he's not really a college football guy. So I get where he's coming from. But what I try to explain to people that aren't really college, like they're not really into college football, it's the same thing. Look at college basketball. College basketball has 360 plus D1 schools.
Damn, that's a lot.
The NBA only has 32 teams. Yes, the playoffs seem to match up just a little bit better. But when you have that many teams, that's why you have to have a system in place that you can sort of indoctrinate. Everybody has a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I like the automatic bids for conference champions. You get a seat at the table. Now, if you screw it up and blah, 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 then it is what it is. But at least you got a seat at the table, because what happens a lot of times is that college basketball, college football is top heavy. The rich get richer and the poor get poor. And so when Scotty D says the stuff like, "Oh, we should only have like 32 teams," that's crazy to me. That's asinine. That is silly talk. Because
I said 40.
Whatever. You'd kill the sport. Because a lot of colleges still have programs, football being one of them, and it's fun. Like, there wouldn't be a football program at Coastal Carolina University if it was just 40 teams.
True.
It's just
I was obviously kidding. You don't need a tangent on 40 teams. Come on. Let me just tell you my answer, okay?
Yeah, what's your answer?
Let's just get back to the most important part of the show, which is me. Okay, I like the playoffs. 12 is good. I'd been okay with 8 or 6. 12 is fine. I think I mentioned to you before, I didn't like Auburn winning 11 games undefeated. What was that? 2011, 13, somewhere in there, and they did get to play in the play. They had no opportunity to win a national championship, and they may have been the best team in the country. I think you have to have some type of playoffs. I was happy when they went to at least a +1 the last couple of years. I think this is better. I think the system needs tweaked a little bit, because I think the weaker teams need to be seeded a little bit lower than maybe Arizona State and Boise in the top 4. But I at least like the opportunity that they are given. And I think you maybe just have to do a committee to say, here's our, you get the automatic bid if you win a conference, but here's our 1 through 12 next year. So I do like the playoffs. I thought the BCS was crap, and the old bowl system, I had zero interest in that whatsoever. I didn't like that, because sometimes one was playing against number 4, and that would be considered the national championship game, and then maybe 2 was playing 3, and then you voted and you had a co-champion. That was crap. I like this. I like this better. So, B-Live, what about you?
I will say this, and again, this goes against my very being, because you know how adamant I was about an 18 playoff very adamant about it. I'm okay with a 12-team playoff. You want to know the main reason why? They're not going to dial it back. I'd be beating my head against a wall. They're not going to go back to 18. See, we are where it is right now, and they're already talking about putting it at 14.
Yeah, everything's always expansion.
Yeah.
You're not going backwards for
I'm
sure.
not going to go back. So I'm going to make my biggest argument for the 12-team playoff. My biggest argument is exactly what Scotty D just said. Take away the automatic buys. The buys should be the top 4 teams.
Mhm.
It should not be your conference, the top 4 conference champions. That should not be a thing. That would have made the first round a lot more intriguing. And then it essentially you earn a bye. You earn a spot by winning your conference championship. You're in there, but you don't get an automatic bye because Arizona State, Boise State, how talented they are, I think being the conference champion or some sort of whatever, just playing the rankings should have been a little bit different, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But playing that home game in the first round and actually being like Texas playing Clemson, it looks good, but on paper it was lopsided.
Mm.
The game ended up being a little bit better than what I actually thought it was going to be. But SMU versus Penn State was lopsided. But would you rather have seen SMU versus Arizona State? Boise State versus Indiana?
I don't know. They all the whole first round and
but that's what I'm saying.
Let's say they were all bad games. I don't know if it would have mattered if the seedings would have changed that or not. If we just had bad games. I don't know.
Because you had 3 versus 16 as opposed to 5 versus.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had 4 versus. I think you had 4 versus like 7 or something like that because 9 and 12 got a first round bye.
Right.
Yeah. So I just seed them, put the conference champions in there, seed them 1 through 4, get a bye. That's where I'm at. That one loop, one small minute change. That's it. Eddie Cool, what you say?
Give me the playoffs. This whole BCS and numbers and crunches and calculating and like they said in the old days, Scotty D, when they had like Nebraska playing Oklahoma and 2 versus 6 and 3 versus 9, and by the end of the night, somebody's like, "Hey, let's go ahead and run the trophy all the way over here because they're going to be the." So I'm cool with the playoffs, 12-team playoffs. I'm cool with that. That, but like you said, tweak it up a little bit. 1 through 4, top 4 teams, they get buys. Everybody else get in when you fit in, and we good from there. And let it play out. No computers. Just let this is a game of where humans have to play. That's not lie on numbers except for first down and points and all that fun stuff. So playoffs. Let's play football. Let's play playoffs. All right. That being said, shout out to everybody for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Scotty D, what's on tap for next week?
Well, we were talking New Year's resolutions before, so I'm asking, as a sports fan, what is your goal for 2025? Is there something you'd like to do, an event you'd like to go to, a team you'd like to go see, a stadium you'd like to visit? Maybe you smash your TVs after Cowboy games. You want to stop doing that. Maybe that's your New Year's resolution. But as a sports fan, what would you like to see happen or do? Or what's your kind of New Year's resolution or your goals for 2025 as a sports fan? And that'll give us something to kick around on the next episode, Eddie Cool.
All right. With that being said, that does it for Choice of the Voices. Coming up next, Be Live, get to grabbing that pepper grinder. Why? It's time for a round of pepper right here on the Sports Bros Podcast.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style. Kind of, sort of, not really. Here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. The 4 E's in no particular order. With that being said, I'll go first. Fellas, on this day in history back in 1927, the Harlem Globetrotters played their first game in Hinckley, Illinois. Yeah. Damn near 100 years ago, fellas. It's 2025, 6, 7.
Harlem Globetrotters play their first game in Illinois,
Yeah. In
not in
Hinckley.
Harlem.
No, in Hinckley, Illinois. Ain't that something? You feel the first home game will be in Harlem, but, it's a namesake.
They probably beat a bunch of white dudes by like 100, if I'm going to guess.
Turn around stuff. Somebody had a killer crossover. Over to you, Scotty D.
All right. In our Lost Dog episode, I mentioned this. I'm going to be very brief on it this time. But a week before Christmas, we lost one of my favorite baseball players of all time, which was Ricky Henderson. And I just wanted to mention that on air, that this dude was one of the all-time great baseball players, first ballot Hall of Famer, the greatest leadoff hitter, greatest base stealer of all time. I was happy that I had an opportunity to see him play before I moved to Myrtle Beach. And rest in peace, Ricky Henderson, who had a birthday on Christmas Day. Yep. Be Live, over to you.
Oh, waste this time, 2025. I apologize, Scotty D. But yes, rest in peace to the man of steel. My first pepper point, Robert Kraft, his quote, "This whole situation is on me. I feel terrible for Jerry because I put him in an untenable situation." If you put somebody in a bad situation, you don't fire the guy. Give him a chance to develop. Robert Kraft, are you trying to be just as bad as Jerry Jones? Keep doing stuff like this. You're well on your way. Eddie Cool, the ball.
The damn shame. Back on this day in history, in 1961, the first NFL playoff bowl, the runner-up bowl. The Detroit Lions beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16. Yeah, a game for second place. Go figure, right? But look at the Detroit Lions now. They got a chance to win the Super Bowl. Cleveland, on the other hand, over to you, Scotty D.
This time last year, I was ready for Mike McCarthy to be done. The Bears are actually seeking to interview Mike McCarthy, which would be wonderful if he would go up there. Here's what made me upset. A year ago, I really wanted the Dallas Cowboys to go grab Jim Harbaugh and bring him to town so he could develop Dak and develop a team. And here we are a year later, and don't the Chargers look suddenly pretty darn good? This is what I was going to mention to you earlier in the show, where I said there's a team to watch. If there's ever a team you didn't see coming, open your eyes, because the Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh leading the way, could be coming. I'm not predicting them to win the Super Bowl, but I did put some money on it. Be Live, over to you.
Well. My second pepper point, this is an educational piece for Scotty D, because Scotty D informed me last week that he did not know that LeBron James had a second son. So
I just didn't know his name.
So I'm here to inform him that LeBron James' second son, his name is Bryce.
Luke. Oh, Bryce.
Bryce Maximus James, by the way. And just for the record, if you did not know, he's actually the better talented of the two sons and more fit for the league, because Bronny James stands at 6'1.5". Bryce is upwards to 6'6".
Ooh.
At 17 years old, and he is committed to the University of Arizona, the Wildcats, to play basketball for his collegiate career.
What about his third son, LaMelo? Where's he got?
Not a thing. Stop doing that. We're not doing that at all. Eddie Cool, the ball.
Be Live.
Literally the ball, LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. Let's take it back down memory lane. Be Live. On this day in history, back in 2019, the college football national championship at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Clemson beats Alabama 44-16, and they shellac the hell out of them. Scotty D.
I hear that the NBA ratings are reportedly down, and a lot of it is because they are shooting too many threes. Where have we heard that before?
Just keep
Be
shooting.
Live, take it out of here for me.
This has got to be the greatest layup assist that Scotty D has ever given me for the third and final pepper point, just to let you know, because that is a segue. For the second time this month, The Chicago Bulls and Charlotte Hornets tie the NBA all-time record for combined missed threes in a game with 75 missed three-pointers. Adam Silver, fix it.
I'm going to subscribe to that.
75 missed three-pointers. Cut it out. Stop. Shoot it. Shoot the three.
Where do I get a subscription to watch that?
God.
You said for the second time this season?
Second time this month.
Anyways,
I think this is in December, but it is what it is. December, but yeah, it's terrible. 75 missed threes, boy.
Bring the dunk back, and in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can do something nice for someone else, that greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Be a blessing, not a burden in this Happy New Year. This is the Sports Bros Podcast. Be live for the first time in 25. Take it to the house.
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all be good. I missed y'all. I love y'all. Take care. We'll see you next week right here on the Sports Bros Podcast.
I know you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but I guess you miss 75% of the shots you do take. Cool. Stop it.
Where's the logic?
Hey, it's Eddie Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.